Alright, so on the automatics for the turbo kit, it's a little bit different. So we actually have to relocate these lines. Now these lines actually go around, down, under the car, and then across the bottom through the subframe. And then they actually come out down there in the bottom. We'll get another shot of that. But basically what ends up happening is that's right where your up pipe is going to come in to get to your turbo. And no up pipe means no boost, which means not a fun time. Alright, so here's where it is. It's on the side of the transmission. And now we have to basically take off that one bolt. In order to get these lines out, they actually recommend that we go ahead and just cut them off right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to end up putting in a new fitting on here so that we can then re-angle these upwards and we can actually get away from all the up pipe stuff, turbo stuff, and run a better kit. So let's go ahead and get that done. Getting work done. Oh. Alright, so I'll film this here just because it's a little bit easier to see in this spot than in other spots in the car. But basically the transmission cooler line is held in with these types of brackets. So a 10mm will pop that off, and then you've got a few clips here that, well, that one's kind of broken anyway, but whatever. So we'll unmount that, and then we'll be able to pull out this hard line that routes through the car, and we'll be able to do our full reroute after that. Oh, that's incredibly boring. Alright. So now we get that off like that. And now our lines are free. Drop that bracket out. We gotta do the same on the other clips around the car. I don't know how many there are. There's at least 2, so that's 1. So at least we have 1 more to go, and worst case we have a shit ton more. So as you can see, these lines are pretty kinked. They go all around the subframe underneath, around the engine mount. So it's a bit of a pain to actually pull them out once you've cut them. I actually kept the end points long, which didn't affect too much. And you can see where I cut from the transmission itself. Now this is the part that actually went to the transmission. So there's 2 pieces. Now they actually rotate, which will come in handy for us. Now this actually fits under like that. And this bolts in. Now there's an O-ring on this one. The O-ring from the other side is actually still inside the transmission. So just make sure that doesn't fall out, you don't lose it or anything like that. So now we're going to go ahead and use a Dremel. We're going to cut off these crimped ends, and that'll allow us to slip a hose on and reuse those for our application. So there's not a lot of space to work with under the car. Now the automatic transmission is just so much bigger than the manual transmission that there really isn't any room for error. Everything had to be perfectly lined up, so props to turbokits.com for doing that. Now we had to shave some of the fins underneath the transmission in order to get that extra clearance. Now the wastegate setup is different on the automatic than the manual. This is why they're not really a transferable kit. The wastegate on this car is above the piping, and what we had to do to accommodate that was just to open dump it instead of custom fabbing up a pipe to make the recirculating exhaust work. Now this is the location where we shave some of those fins in order to get a little bit more clearance. It doesn't affect anything, but again, it's just really helpful to have some extra space. Here's what we did with the oil return line. We went ahead and got a 10 AN and then heat wrapped it, and those are hose barb fittings, and then we went into the turbo here, the return coming out the bottom and down to the pan. Now check us out. The website is live at initialdiymods.com. We do also have an Instagram, a Twitter, and a Facebook at Initial DIY Mods on all 3 of those. This is probably my favorite picture of the car. Holy, sorry for the motion sickness, me, because I'm watching that shit later. Fuck, it's a 10, and I didn't fucking switch the socket. Son of a bitch.